Okay. Okay. Oh, maybe it's going to happen.
Hi, y'all. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Liz. I'm so glad to see you because my phone says it's 5:04 and I was afraid maybe I didn't have a link to get in.
No, the meeting, it's on my phone, it's 4:57, but I don't know. Alice sent out a notice saying that she may not be able to be here until 5 or 10 after 5. So I don't know what's going on. We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, I will mute myself then.
Okay, I am too. Hello, Chris. Hi, y'all.
Hey, everyone.
Is that a nail? Yeah, that's a nail. Okay.
Okay, are you there? Can you
Yeah,
hear
I'm
me?
here. Are you speaking to me?
I'm speaking to anybody that's there. I've got
I'm
got
here.
this up. Okay, I am Alice.
Okay. The League of Women Voters, Corpus Christi area is nonpartisan grassroots civic organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, influence public policy through education and advocacy. So with that, we'll get Liz to establish our quorum.
All righty, I'm gonna call roll. If you could either raise your hand, well, if you'll say yes or here or not. Alice?
Here.
Liz here. Sandy?
Here.
Julie?
Here.
Alex? Is Alex here?
She said she
Eli?
would be late. She has a meeting, I think.
Okay,
Yes, she is.
Eli?
I am here.
Brittany's here. All right, we have a quorum with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members.
Okay, just want to welcome everybody to the meeting, those of you who are observing. Appreciate you being here. We want to get started with the reading of the minutes. You did receive a copy of the minutes from Elizabeth, and if there were any corrections, she had requested that you respond back. I did respond with one correction. Is there any other correction or concern about the minutes? If not, hearing none, we will assume that those minutes are correct. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I
Motion
want
to
speak
approve.
up. Who's that?
That was Eli McKay.
Okay, Eli, okay, okay.
Can I get a second, please?
I can't
Are
hear
y'all
you.
reluctant?
I'll second with the corrections. Yeah.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we receive the minutes with the corrections. All in favor, raise your hand or show your hand on the screen. All right. Okay, there we go. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. The minutes are approved as corrected. We have, and might I just want to add, I apologize for being late. But we do have quite a bit of business to attend to today, and with great hopes that we'll get through all of it. So if you'll just temper your comments based on the need, and then we can hopefully get through this without going over time. I did put out a note at the bottom of the agenda that we may go over a little bit because we do have quite a bit to discuss today. Great. So Sandy, would you want to take the mic, please, for your treasurer report?
Okay, I'm not going to say a lot. I will say that the report is here. I'm still in the process of trying to get our spreadsheet working, and I think we're fairly close so that I can double check all the numbers. The only thing that I wanted to point out is that we have not accounted for the budget amendment that was made at the general meeting. And I can go into that now or later, either way. And the other thing is that I have discovered that national and state have taken out twice the amount of money on at least one person than they were supposed to take. So we'll be going back through and trying to make sure they haven't done it again, and then talking to them about getting our money back. And that was the asterisk on the report under PNP. So other than talking about the budget revision, that's been basically all I have. And the amount, I'm sorry, there's the amount at the end of the day, at the end of February was $10,767.05.
Would you repeat that number again, please?
$10,767.05.
I think that the budget amendments that we made at our January meeting probably needs to, we need to have a discussion on that. However, I'd like to get through some of the rest of that and then return back to that if that's okay with everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes, I just wanted to add, because thanks for all the reports, everybody. And there was just some, you did great. There's a little piece we can discuss about like from program and where there was monies there.
Well, just as a point, I think what happened is at the general meeting, you guys had the booklet. You may or may not recall, but the budget in the booklet was not the budget adopted because it does not include, sorry?
I agree. I mean,
Yeah,
we
so-
had the paper. I'll wait. President Hawkins said to wait.
Yeah, that's fine. So,
Okay, all right, all right. So thank you, Sandy, and we'll get back to that one. We have our Vice President, Ms. Julie. Would you give us a report? Now, Julie did send in her report, but there is an action item on that report, I believe, Julie. in
Well,
terms
you could,
of,
if you want to wait and discuss it, it's actually was a twofold send in. One is just the March program report, and we could run through that real quick if you want. And the
okay,
other,
would you go ahead and do that one then?
yeah, it's
Okay.
that we had our February monthly meeting and we transitioned to second Saturdays. We started that in January. We'll be doing that until we make an approved change. And we had 15 members that attended and 2 guests that came. So that was pretty good. There was a lot of stuff going on that day. It was Chinese New Year and we didn't realize that when we scheduled that meeting way ahead of time. So we didn't conduct business because we didn't have a membership quorum. So we used it as an opportunity to build the organization. We did action things. We gave reports on program and membership. I took some membership lists there and we had people look at it to see if they knew anyone and could reach out to expired memberships. And we also gave an overview of the Observer Corps, and Catherine Oler bought an Observer Corps reporting forms and people reviewed those and actually kind of took a vote on which one they preferred and gave input on that. So I thought that was really awesome. When we talked about Observer Corps, we also talked that we're gonna, we're not just focusing on the library board. We are more than that. There's a need to expand our observations beyond that particular board. It was just a start. And we're doing it to defend democracy and empower voters and get people involved in the organization, and that our local positions provide guidance as well as to which boards we should observe, because there are hundreds of them, thank goodness, but we can't do it all. And so it was mentioned that boards we should be watching are Parks and Rec, the Ethics Commission, that we should also be watching public comments, the elections, which isn't a board, and some folks said we should be watching the County Commissioners Court. We discussed which parts of it, you can't do it all. And it was said that we should do it related to beaches because we have a local position on it, and that we should watch the CCI SD school board meetings because that applies to our mission to defend democracy and empower voters, because we must have good education, and we've been trying to advocate for freedom of information. And so that was a good part of the meeting, but the best part of the meeting was that Eli and Alex organized and distributed the state guides, and it was awesome. And thank y'all so much. They can talk more about it, but it was really fun seeing people move to action. And that was one of the reasons we moved to second Saturday. So if we could move people out into the community, it would be a good time to do it. And I believe that happened. And Alex provided coffee. Some people bought food to share. I just want to remind people that we should do that again on the next meeting on March 9th. And then the last thing I want to say is that the Observer Corps did yield their first fruit of their labor. And it was that when the Advisory Library Board changed the meeting date of the upcoming March meeting, it seemed out of order since it was not included as an action item. Some other observers noticed that also. And then after further research and inquiry by Sandy Sterber-Boatwright, it was discovered that city advisory boards must adhere to the same rules as the Corpus Christi City Council, so the action should have been included on the agenda 72 hours beforehand as required by the Texas Open Meetings Act. The Advisory Library Board members received information on how to conduct meetings appropriately, although the meeting was not changed back to the original date of March 5th, so it'll be on March the 12th. But because of that observation, something happened. So it was a great thing, and y'all should go out and brag about it, because we are defending democracy.
I think I
And
got some credit that Alice deserves, by the way. I think she's the one who dug into it. I just brought it up. So
but it was a good
just
catch.
saying Alice was instrumental in that.
It was a very good catch. I just happened to call somebody and had them to check it out, and they did. But
right,
but that's
because the river flows that way. That's how the wave of action happens. One person sees it, it creates a force, It hits someone else, they do something about it, then someone else does something about it, and before you know it, we have an ocean of change. So keep it going.
Very good. And that is, you are seeing the power of the Observatory in action with what happened on that library board. And although I call it kid glove treatment of the leadership, it still brought attention to the fact that there were things going on that I think it was basically done out of lack of knowledge or ignorance to the process. But at any rate, that raises an awareness level, and our Observer Corps are the ones that caught it. So if you see something, say something. If you don't
That's
know
right.
if you don't know who to contact, just call Julie or myself or somebody, and we'll try to flesh it out. So I really do appreciate that, Sandy. That was great. And that was also accredited to your training. Okay, so we do have an action item that Julie has actually, it's all about our programs. So what I'd like to do right now is to talk about that and see if we can't take a vote because we are on a time schedule here, and it has to do with our position statements. And I do want to thank a couple of people for jumping into action and helping us with that. So Julie, could you speak to that for us, please?
Well, as the annual meeting relates to program, I can, and also the other things I sent out are they're just, well, they're not, I don't mean to just qualify with just, but there are bylaws and policy, and I was just trying to get people on track to the annual meeting. My experience with the board with the league has been great, but I've learned that to get ready for the annual meeting, you have to start so far ahead of time that you might not realize it. And so it is time to start on that. As it relates to program, what needs to happen. Do y'all have your, or does anybody have bylaws, policy, what I sent out? Mostly the thing too, if you haven't had time to review it, the beautiful thing about our annual meeting is you always get a workbook with history and wonderful things in there. And that's where all the bylaws are also online. So thank you, Brittany, for the website up to date. But according to that, to prepare for the annual meeting, let me just talk about the date of that. Our last board meeting, the board did vote to change it to June because that hadn't been done. And the way we knew that we needed to check in on that, and if we could do it this year, like start that in effect. And President Hawkins checked, and since the bylaws weren't formally changed in our bylaws, then we have to take a vote at our annual meeting. And so that's one thing about the action that needs to happen. Look, and also the realization that the annual meeting has to happen in May, not in June. And program, the board needs to approve program 2 months ahead of the annual meeting. And the board or the organization, because we're a grassroots volunteer, should receive feedback from our members and involve them in the process. There's been times when I have been able to get a group of people together over Zoom, a program committee, and we discuss things. I haven't done that. I've been able to pull that off this year, but I have gotten some really good feedback already. Some from Sally about some possible topics and other things. I'll put that together. Another from Judy Telge. And the thing is, we need to make a plan for the program for next year. Armand's going to be the vice president of program. I know it's going to be great. It's kind of odd to prepare a program ahead of time and the next person pull it off. So we're trying to also make sure we include him in those plans. But when I discussed with President Hawkins about the timeline, she preferred to have the meeting at the end of May, which is, makes sense. We wanted it in June anyway, so I kind of used that date, which gives us a little bit more time. And the thing is, the board will still have to vote on the program. So what you do is get a program, vision, and the board needs to meet or either vote by email, Zoom, however y'all want to do it. We need to do it by the end of the month. It's tied to that special date in May, and that's what we have to decide. Once that happens, then we vote on the program proposal. Then the members have to get that proposal, recommended program proposal, a month ahead of time, and there's a basket of other things they have to receive, like the proposed budget, and I listed all that. I'm not going to go over it. You have the documents, you have the bylaws and policies, but as it applies to program, thanks to the universe, because of our second Saturday decision, we can actually work on program on the next league meeting, the general membership meeting, which is March the 9th. And that has to be a business meeting. And then between March the 9th and when the board needs to vote on the proposed program or the recommendation, we'll have enough time to meet again with President Hawkins if she whatever she deems necessary, and with future Vice President Armand Alex. So that's the main thing about program. The thing I said about discussion, so there's no action with that. That's like discussion and let y'all know what's going to happen with program. And if you wanted to ask some questions, you can. There are some actions that need to wait 1 second. There are some actions that need to take place for the annual meeting. And so I don't know how you want to proceed with that, President Hawkins, but as it regards the program part of it, 2 months ahead of time the board approves, and then we send it out 1 month to the membership. And when you dig into the bylaws, you'll see that there's another chance for the membership to be involved, and they can propose a program in May, or a piece of it, a study, if they've missed those deadlines, but it has some different numbers. And historically, that's what happened and how we got and arrived at that beautiful possible lead contamination in our water. So all kinds of things can happen with program that are great between now and May.
Go ahead, Liz.
I thought after the last meeting that I have in my notes and all that after the last meeting in February, Alice called up to the state offices and they gave their okay for us to move the annual meeting to June.
No, I got an email and I think I forwarded it out to everybody, the
You did.
response that I got. There was, and if you didn't get a chance to read it, because if y'all get emails like I do, I have to get up, stay up late at night, get up early in the morning, try to catch up, keep up. But the final analysis of that request or that clarification was that we are bound by our laws to have our meeting in May.
Okay.
And then if we want to move it to June, then that would happen this year at our meetings. We can move it to June. But according to what was planned from last year and we voted on last year, we have to stick to that. We don't have a recourse on that.
That's right. And so Alice checked and President Hawkins, and thanks for sending that. And they say, yes, you have to do that. The thing is, when I dug through our bylaws and policies, if we're going to change that, and I think that's what you're talking about, the specific action is that my recollection and reasoning, there was a reason we wanted to move, 2 reasons. We wanted to move the annual meeting to June. The first and foremost was we were trying to move the fiscal calendar to end July the 1st instead of June the 1st. And to do that, we were moving the meeting to May. Also, because there are so many graduations and things going on in May that it would be better for people to meet in June. When I dug through the, wait 1 minute, when I dug through the bylaws, it's also said though that I noticed that it still says the beginning of the fiscal year is in June. And so that's something else that we have to change. The reason I'm bringing all this up is if there are amendment to bylaws, that's part of that bundle of things that have to go out to the membership a month before. And so although that's not tied to program, it is tied to the bundle that needs to go out the month before. So that's just things, action. If you ask me, the reason I put possible or immediate action is I don't know why we can't vote today, the executive committee and the board, to change the annual meeting to June and to change the fiscal year to end or to start on July 1st. I see lots of hands. I'm going to let President Hawkins facilitate this. Okay.
Okay, Anel,
The
hang on, Anel.
Sandy probably,
Hannah, if you would take use your reactions and raise your hand, the Zoom will put you in order that you click on the button. And that will help us to get everybody in the order that you are raising your hand. If you'll go down to reactions, and there's at the bottom, it has a raise your hand icon. If you would click on that.
Mine seems to be missing that icon.
Well,
I don't know why.
maybe your screen isn't down low enough. But anyway,
Maybe
if those of you who would like to speak would
no.
raise your hand, that will help us to get those, because it'll organize
put
it.
that.
It'll, yeah. Okay, so go ahead. Anna.
okay, I think, and Sandy may be trying to raise your hand for the same thing, is that our previous year ended April 30th and began May 1st, and we were moving it to June 1st through May 31st. Am I correct there, Sandy? I don't think July ever came into it. Where did that come
Okay.
from?
Last year, my recollection is that the year before I became treasurer, you moved it so that June 1st was the start of the fiscal year, and previously it had been May 1st. And so I was not at this meeting where this was discussed, and I'm not sure why we're trying to move it, and so I would like to know that. But the second thing is my understanding of, well, I didn't see this email. I don't know if I got it and didn't see it, or if I just didn't get the email about why we couldn't move it. But when my recollection, and I have not looked through it for tonight, but my recollection is there is something in our bylaws that says we can move it, but it doesn't take effect until our next scheduled meeting or annual meeting or whatever meeting it was. And so my understanding was it couldn't go into effect. We couldn't vote on it in time to have it go into effect to change it this year. It would have had to be next year. But again, I have not read through for this meeting. But why do we want to move it to July? We seem to just be pushing it back every year.
No, July
I'm not
is wrong.
trying to jump in front, but it's all that is just notes to do exactly what we're doing now. It does not mean that the July, I apologize, I pulled out of my head because it's not in my lane, and that somehow we wanted to align the annual meeting with the budget report. I do not know how to do that. All I know is the annual meeting part. And if we're gonna do that, then the treasury part has to just mesh up, because the other piece, my understanding, according to what President Hawkins sent out from the state and from former President Oler, is we have to send these the amendments to the state before we can send it out to the membership a month ahead. So it makes a really weird timeline if that's all the cases. And we've already established that, no, we didn't intend to change it to July, but June.
Okay. And I thought that we
Yes.
handled that at the meeting last year.
It
I'm
was
doing,
it's
hang
not
on.
I'm
on
doing a
record
June 1 to
anywhere.
May 31 budget. I mean, reporting.
We did move it, June is the timeline. And at this point, I think that Julie just misspoke in terms of the July thing. But in terms of what we're trying to do now is we're just trying to get that 2-month cushion to and do things in the timeline that is presented in the bylaws. And March, if with us presenting a program of inquiry that we want to push forth, is the month that we have to do this in order to give ourselves 1 month to get to the general membership, and then from there to the state with our final decisions. And so that is why it is important that this month, and this a lot of this is on my watch, because this kind of got by me in terms of that timeline. So what we need to do today is just have a discussion on the program, and we did receive a proposal from Sally that of what we could possibly do short of having a full-blown program. We can have something that falls short of a full-blown proposal and inquire throughout the year that might lead, that may develop into a program that we can put forth. Liz.
I'm looking at the bylaws right now. It's on page 20 in our annual membership. Article 5, financial administration, fiscal year is first day of June. So that takes that off the table. So we can, that's
Yes.
done. That's done.
Yes,
So-
we've we've decided
Already
that.
on to the program. Yeah.
Oh, Julie?
Well, yes, what I had intended to do is to put together Sally's suggestion, Judy Telge's, whatever comes from the March 9th discussion and meetings with Armand and President Hawkins and whoever else wants to participate between now and when we ever have to have the second board meeting, or a vote from the board meeting on program. And it shouldn't be that difficult. I think President Hawkins already, captured what Sally, intentions were and how it could take us forward. There's other pieces like Observer Corps and just hearing from our membership. But we don't have to decide program today. We can discuss it for sure. And I will take note of whatever people are recommending. And then we will compile all the recommendations together, and the executive board, all of us, will decide
thank
what the
you.
program recommendation is going to be to the membership.
Okay, so basically, if there is any other discussion on the program or possibilities, we can have that discussion now. And if not, come Saturday, the 9th, I will be getting with Julie and Armand, and we can kind of discuss the possibilities and bring a proposal on Saturday at our second Saturday meeting and discuss or present that to you. And if there's any further discussions on that, then we can have that. Is that agreeable with everyone?
Yes, and some other members that show up on Saturday might have
Yes.
some, you know, some suggestions too.
And yes, Liz.
When you're saying program, are you talking about, what exactly
Positions.
are you talking about when you keep talking about programs? Are you talking about topics that would be discussed or speakers coming in for the monthly meetings? Is that what you're talking about when you mention program? I'm kind of confused.
That's
Well,
okay. That's a good
that's-
question. It's
yeah,
about
and that's
study
part
and
of it.
action, and our actions are based on our studies and our positions. And so a program, and it just wraps into, we're able to achieve that through meetings, but it's really study and action. That's the program.
Study and action of what?
What we
Elizabeth.
decide we're going to study and act on, which is based on the League of Women Voters, national and Texas and local positions and mission and principles.
Okay,
It
so
helps us.
can you
Can
give
I
me
say
some
this?
examples, please?
It
Some
helps
con-
us to establish the positions that we're going to take moving forward. Like we have a position on tourists on our beaches.
Okay,
And then a few years ago, we had the position statement on the water. We also have a position statement on I'm drawing a blank now, but we have several position statements right now.
transportation. Yeah, like bicycle.
Transportation, right, and
Mhm.
bicycles.
Okay.
So what we're talking about now is building the framework for a future program. And that's what that means.
Okay,
Does that help?
thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yes, because there was a
Okay.
lot of big words, but I wasn't getting any concrete. So thank you. I got concrete.
Okay, very good. Anybody else have a comment or want to weigh in on this? Because we're going to fully flesh it out on the 9th. But if you have any comments or questions, it's a good time to ask. Okay, Julie, your hand is up.
Well, if no one has any comments or questions, I want to say again that the reason I sent out the prep for 2024 annual meeting is that it's going to take everyone. It's not just program, and it has lots of different pieces. So thanks for correcting the financial part. The other, though, is that Article 6, Section 3 of the bylaws, it's another budget thing. And I think we've done this, but I don't know that there's a budget committee and a chair. And that also, the proposed budget has to go out in that bundle of information that goes to members a month before. And so that's all. That's why I sent out a really long document to get everybody, so we can all work together on the annual meeting. And then aside from that, there was a report. But that's all I have to say. I think everything's done on my end.
Are there any other comments or concerns or questions? Okay, so suffice it to say that I will be getting with Julie and Armand, who is our well, how do I say
He's
this? Who is our
nominated.
proposed? Yes,
Just
thank
been
you. That's the
nominated.
word. Yes. Thank you, Chris. That's the word I was looking for. Our nominated individual to take over the program. And that is part of the reason why he is on tonight. I didn't intend to do that. That is part of the reason. I got too much stuff on my desk. The reason why I invited him to come and be with us, because this is stuff that really needs to he needs to hear, and we all need to be a little clearer. Somebody's unavailable to check the camera. Okay, I don't know what happened to my camera here. It keeps saying it's unavailable to, anyway, I'm here, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here. But anyway, so we will be able to bring to you something concrete on Saturday, the 9th, so that we can have a discussion on that and anything else. And also, Sandy, we can get with you. I know that you're still working on this budget thing. And that's another thing that I want to have a discussion about. And I just want to bring it up right now while we're on that. And Sandy has mentioned to me several times that we need to have something like an understudy to work with her so that if anything happens to her or when her time is up and we can move it, have an understudy to move into that spot or somebody that is willing to be nominated to take that position. And I think that that's a wise decision because there is so much to learn about what we do, and having somebody there walking beside her or whomever the treasurer might be, and having something like an understudy will help so much in the future because it is a lot to learn. And Sandy, I'm so grateful to you and all that you have to do in other places to still be willing to continue with us until your 2 years is up, and I appreciate that. So let me ask, can somebody help me get my picture back up here?
It, if you go
didn't know
down
what-
to, there should be a video camera in the lower left hand of your screen
Well,
that has a,
I've been clicking on that ever since my picture went. Let me see here. Maybe there's another little part. It says Zoom is unable to detect a camera. So maybe my camera is gone off. Let me see here. I can't see my camera on my little, I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. But if y'all are comfortable with me moving on, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So any other questions, concerns? Sandy?
I just wanted to say that when I suggested that, I think that's a good idea for all of our offices because it's, well, and Annelle knows what a struggle I had with the treasury position. And I think I'm only now beginning to finally kind of find it. But I also was thinking of taking with Armand, taking Julie's position. I'm sure working with her for a few months before the vote would be a big help to him because Julie has done so much that it's going to be hard to get your mind all around it, it seems to me. And Eli's building the DEI section, and I know Alex has struggled a little with the voter stuff, although we've been doing amazing things there. And I just think that maybe an internship type situation might be a good idea. That was it.
And I think that that is a good idea. And we can, I just want to bring it up today. We can ponder this a little deeper once we get past all of our deadlines that we need to fix and get going on that. So just mentioning Alex Water Services, so I wouldn't say she's struggle. Okay, thank you, Eli. Thank you, Eli, for that comment. But we will take a look at that. I thoroughly agree because this is the work that we do is guided by guidelines and dates and policy, and we can't just do things willy-nilly. And so having someone riding, gunshot on the side, learning as we go will be an excellent way to continue to keep our momentum going as we change the positions and administration changes over. So I think that's a really good idea. All right, thank you so much. Moving on. We are now down to voter services. Is Alex still here with us? Okay, you can see Alex sent in her her report, and it's quite extensive. I won't go into it, but I do think that she sent it out to everyone for you to read. And if you would take a minute or two. Eli's here as the DE&I, but she and Chris both were instrumental in getting our voter guides out. So I want to take a minute to acknowledge Eli for comments, and then over to Chris. And we want to talk about the voter guides. That was a
Thank you
phenomenal
so
feat.
much. Yes, thank you so much, Alice. I'm very excited because I know this year we were able to get more primary guides out than we were in the general of 2022. So we have a lot less leftovers, even though Alex did state in her report that, you know, we might have ordered more Spanish than we needed. But I think that all in all, we did really, really well. And we did epic things getting more voter guides out to new locations this year than ever before. And so the beautiful thing about that is we do have the locations where we dropped everything off, and we'll be following up to make sure if places had leftovers. So we'll be very specific and intentional in the general with the funds that we spend on the voter guide. We want to make sure that we're not wasting any money or anyone's time or anything as far as distributing them around. So I'll leave it to you, Chris, if you have anything else on the voter guides.
It was just such a pleasure to work with Eli and Alex. We've had such great people in voter services for the last 5 or 6 years. And so they built on some notes that Paula Brighton had left with them. And it's been a joy, I think, for us to expand into Spanish language. I didn't think it could be done, to tell you the truth, both financially and even physically, to get both of those publications laid out. But I think it makes the league look right in step with its goal and mission of keeping voters informed. So I was really tickled about that. I'm already having some nightmares, Eli, on the November issue, because if the league should decide to go Spanish language again, I looked at the 2022, and I think it was a 48 pager in English. And that included the Corpus Christi City Council election, which has always drawn lots of candidates. So I'm already having these little mini nightmares, but I'm trying to just calm down for a couple of months and not worry about it. It was difficult in a sense working with the Houston Chronicle, but they really came through. And I think, as I estimated, the per piece price of about 15 cents per voter guide, they were really right in line, just a few pennies more than the Corpus Christi Caller Times. And so that was a whole new venture to work with someone out of town and make sure it got shipped in on time. I think there's lots of decisions that the board needs to be thinking about on, producing both an English and a Spanish, if we're going to do that in 2024, and start to work ahead of time and set guidelines and timelines. But it really was a good feeling to get them done. And Alex and Eli could not have been more supportive of layout and all that. Alice, you played a key role too. And so I'm just glad they're done. And hope that we didn't make too many errors. If you've heard of any errors, you need to let us know, because the proofing was done in bits and pieces. But I was particularly impressed with the Spanish translation that came in from the translation service. I thought I think we must have gotten a really good deal with them, and they did seem to be right on target and on time.
Yes, Chris, and thank you so much for those comments. And yeah, you guys did a phenomenal job. I just cannot say enough. I call it a Herculean feat, because y'all did something that we hadn't done it before, and you jumped in there on a really tight timeline. And I think that was the one that was the big head racking thing on the timeline. So I think everybody should give these ladies, Eli, Alex, and Chris, a round of applause. You can do it with your, there you go, with your reactions, because you guys, y'all did a phenomenal job. That's all I can say. And we so appreciate you. Never ever think that your efforts have gone unnoticed, because they have. And I know I was in I was in the loop, and so I saw all the emails, all the stresses, all of a sudden, oh hex, going on, and I can appreciate the job that y'all did. And so my hats go off to you for that Herculean feat. So thank you
Alex,
so
I
much.
did want to add one thing, and Eli and I have already chatted about that, but the Houston Chronicle said, you guys have got to tighten up your standards for accepting photos from candidates that have a good resolution and are good quality photos. And for years, we've put up with a lot of crappy photos
Mhm.
from those who would be elected officials who don't take the time to go get a decent photo taken. And
Right.
so we've got to make sure, as we communicate with future candidates, that we have our own guidelines for resolution, and that the press, whatever press we use, and I guess we'll probably be with the Houston Chronicle forever, but they're the ones who spotted the very first ones. And they said, these photos, some of these photos are terrible. We don't even think you should use them. But we did get a little help locally, and we're able to tighten some of them up. But Eli and I both were worried about some of those that would have just looked like a blur on newsprint. So we got some marching orders, I think, from the Chronicle that we need to make sure that doesn't happen next year, that we don't use your photo if it's not a good photo, and that we have standards.
Well, and that we have time to put that out there to the public and to the candidates, and really stand on it. Not just say we need this kind of resolution, but just refuse to print it if they are not willing to give us a really good studio headshot of themselves, so that it can be, so we can have actually a quality production.
Yeah.
Because the types of photos that they send when they go on to the page is really not our fault of the resolution, the quality, but it's our fault if we go ahead and publish it. So we probably need to get on that real early and start sending out some information, some requirements, and let them have some time to go ahead and have those shots made. And then just kind of, just don't give in, and just stand on our qualifications. Okay, so the next thing we need to discuss. By the way, yes. Oh, go ahead, Liz.
Is anybody reading my report that I'm sending it to all of y'all about voter services on voter registration?
I got a copy. We all got
I read.
copies.
I read all of it.
Okay, I just didn't, okay, just double checking then. Thank you.
Liz, while we're on that, I actually would love to have you add those reports as attachments to your minutes. And the reason why
Okay.
I'm asking that is because every 3 months we are asked to give an account of what we are doing as a chapter here, and we have to do a write-up. And Julie has been kind enough to send in the last report that we sent in, and I think it's on a quarterly basis that we are supposed to be sending this in. If we have those attachments to the minutes, we can, it'll be a whole lot easier for us to scan or glean those reports, and really just kind of rake some of that stuff off real quickly and submit that report without having to bug everybody or try to remember what we did. So if we could do that, and if you could kind of work on getting the report in, and you have also, Liz, been quite diligent in giving us a 2 weeks notice, a 1 week notice, and a countdown. So I appreciate that, because it helps me too to get things done. So if you could send in a written report, if you have one, then we can just add it as an attachment to the final minutes, and that will help us to send in our quarterly reports.
Okay, well, I have a couple of comments then, and very quickly. I've been sending the totals that I have when we go to a high school or an event to Alex on how many people we registered at that event. So like when we went to Ray High School last Tuesday, we registered 26 people. The other two items is that we need more deputy voter registrars. The ones that are coming have been diligent. They have been wonderful, but we only have like maybe 10 to 12 total that are active, that are showing. So we really need to be encouraging at the membership meetings and all. Become a DVR. We really need your help. And the last thing is, if anybody knows Kira Sands, whether personally or professionally, that can give me an introduction to her. My goal is, I would love to be able to do this, is to go to each high school with a voter machine that they can actually touch and go work with it. Because when we were at Ray High School last Tuesday, I asked students that I knew I had registered. And I said, did you get your voter registration card? And they go, yes. I said, have you voted? No. And I wasn't mad or anything, but I was really emphatic with, you need to get, there's nothing more we can do for you. You need to get your butt down there. And I told the principal what I said, and she said, good for you. I said, you need to get your butt down there because we've done everything for you. We cannot physically haul you to the voting place. You've got to do it. And so those are the items that I'm coming back with the high school students. It's easy to register them. They're all willing to register. It's getting them going. And I think if we bring in a voting machine to them, it doesn't have to, and have them just touch the buttons. This is a screen. This is what it is, that they physically can touch it. What I'm sensing for most of these high school students is they're scared. They're scared of making a mistake. They were scared of doing it wrong and getting in trouble. They're scared, and it's overwhelming.
Well, you may be right in doing that. I don't know if we could get a machines there, because they do monitor those machines very closely in terms of when and how they're used. I can maybe contact Kara, send her an email. She's very hard to access. I've been down there. I think Chris has been down there, and Chris has tried to get her on the phone a number of times. I've been down to her office, and they guard her like Fort Knox. All of her people come and they get around her, and I think it's because of all of the rhetoric that's going on out in the universe in terms of voting and all of that. But I will, if I send her an email, maybe I can get a little more out of her and request, see if that is a possibility. And I'll get back to you on that to see if they can bring a machine. And because I don't know that that's going to be possible, but maybe in an off year when there's no voting. But us coming up on the voting, they have to verify those machines and go in and test them and all of that. And once they do that, I don't know if they're willing to bring them out to the schools. And if it happens, they have to have someone from that office or what they call a judge to come out and actually facilitate that. And so it may be more things than but we can talk, we can ask. And so I will ask for you.
Even if it's just a broken machine, just so they can see what it is, and telling them and showing the video that they just glaze over. I think if they could physically touch it, like if we did it like in May or August, the off times, because, I proposed field trips to the teachers and they're like, yeah, but then it's so complicated to get these kids out of school and all, and the buses and all that arrangement and all that. So this is just something, an idea, because what I'm sensing from these high school students is that they're afraid. They're afraid of making a mistake. They're overwhelmed with the size of the ballot. They need guidance, and we can't physically take them down and stand by them, because then it's called then it's harvesting votes. So I don't know. I don't know how else to get the vote out to get these kids down there. I don't know. So anyway, that's it for me.
Well, and I agree with that. The only other alternative we have in terms of helping them is that their teacher can walk them through the ballot walk them through the candidates. They don't have to tell them how to vote, but, you know, the idea of educating them on the candidates is one thing. Educating them on the process of actually, you know, marking their ballot is a whole different story. So we'll see what we can do, Elizabeth, on that regard. Okay, any other comments on that? If not, we're moving along. We are now down to diversity, equity and inclusion. And Eli, you're up.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep that short. And just one comment that came to mind when Chris was saying that she was having anxiety about the general. We're going to get started on it right after the primary. So we'll be in touch with folks about things that we'll need help with in the near future on the general. So moving on to DE&I, I just have two things. Very short report today. The next DE&I committee meeting will be March the 27th at 4 p.m. at my office. The February meeting was canceled and because I had COVID. And so I apologize for that for many reasons. So we'll be trying to kind of get things started in March and hopefully getting it going quickly so that we can get more folks in the DE&I committee. The last thing I wanted to mention is just that, as everybody does know, tomorrow is election day. If you haven't voted, get out there and vote. But one thing that I wanted to mention is that if you don't have anything going on tomorrow, the importance of observers at the polls is very important. And so if you are not too busy and you have time, just stop by a polling place. We want to make sure that there's no trouble at the polls. And if there is, we want to make sure that it's reported to the correct people. So we have the elections hotline. It's 1-800-252-VOTE. So if there's any issues, you can call that number and report that to the Secretary of State. All locations should have curbside voting. And so that's something we want to make sure as a DE&I issue that is very streamlined in our area. So if you have questions about that, I will be taking the day off work tomorrow and doing some observing. I was going to work the polls, but I didn't make it in time for the training. So instead, I'm going to do my best to observe and poll watch everywhere I can. Thank you so much, Armand, for dropping that in the chat as well. So that's all from me on DE&I, unless folks have questions for me. Sandy?
Can they boot you out for, I thought poll watchers had to register or something in advance. I haven't not done it yet, but was thinking I should have, but I didn't get to it in time. Is that something you can just go do?
No,
Well,
you can't.
So,
you can be
can
at the
observe.
polling places, and I mean, people will be holding signs and things like that. That's more what I was saying. But I think to be like an actual poll watcher, right, you do need to sign up and be like an election judge or an election clerk.
And you have to be trained to be a poll watcher. Now, there's other, you can observe, and and one thing that may help you is they have people that are poll watching. Most of the and I don't know that both parties go into it with a lot of thrust, but I went to vote, and there was this woman standing out there, and she greeted me, "Hello, how you doing?" or something like that. And then she turned and asked me, "Are you here to vote?" And I said, "Yes, I am." But that was wrong. No one can be standing out there monitoring what you're doing there. I went to the Heldenfeld building, and it was not her business whether I was going to vote or if I was going to the Heldenfeld business for Delmar business. Whatever I was doing, that was not her place. And that is part of what some of these aggressions are with some of these poll watchers who don't stay in their lane. And so that's why it has, that's why you are supposed to be trained to be a poll watcher. And it would be good to just be trained to know what they can and cannot do, because they do get out of their lane. They are aggressive, some of them, and they are not supposed to do anything. I was also told by the judge at that location that some of the poll workers are, if you pull up in a handicapped lane, they are not supposed to question you. And there's some of those poll workers that actually went to some of these cars and asked the people, can you get out, or can I help you get out and go inside, or can I help you vote? That is not their job. Their job is simply, if you pull up in that lane that has that handicap voting, there is a phone number there. If no one is standing outside or near the door, and you call that number, they are supposed to simply come out, take your voter registration card and your identification, let you know, I'm going to get you processed. They go in, they turn in the paperwork, and once everything is cleared, they bring a machine out, and that person is to vote. Anything past that can be construed as harassment, and they are not supposed to be doing that. So if you see, that's what we call, that's what, if you, what Eli was saying, if you can go and kind of see some of that stuff going on at a distance, that's the kind of stuff that you can call in and report about these people being too aggressive. So, all of us are working and doing different things, and we have lots to do. But if you are able to go over there and watch for a little while, a couple of hours, something, that will certainly help facilitate the getting the vote out. So,
Awesome.
and there's so much to that poll watching business that you can and cannot do. And those people who are doing it, they're supposed to be trained, but if they can get away with stuff, in some cases, they will do that. Okay.
Yes. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Alice. And there's just one other number that I wanted to give out to y'all. If people have questions about voting, there's another phone number that they can call, and it's 866-OUR-VOTE. So that one's a little easier to remember, and that's more just for like general questions if people need help and you can't answer their questions. And I'll put that in the chat too.
All right. Any other comments or questions or concerns on the DE&I or voting? Okay. I do have now Sylvia's not here, but I did want to give a little quick report. Sylvia and I, of course, most of you know, because it was in the voter, that we went onto the Domingo Live show and talked about voting and our voter guides coming in. And then this past Sunday, Sylvia went on again the Domingo Live program, and she spoke to she spoke in Spanish to some of, to the voters and to the people watching the show. And I think that is so important. It raises our profile. It also lets them know that we are not a homogeneous group. We are mixed up. We have old, young, brown, blacks, whites, whatever, so that people can know that we are here as nonpartisan, and that is our thrust in society, is that we are here simply to educate the voter and protect democracy. So Sylvia is going on. I also had a request from I can't remember the name, from Channel 6, their Spanish station. And so I don't know if Sylvia's going to be able to go and talk to the reporter, because she said that the majority of her audience is Spanish speaking. So if she's not able to go, if somebody wants to meet over there that can speak Spanish, and I told her that if I could not get anybody, I would come and she could do an interview. And she says that they have AI that while I'm talking in English, it is translating in Spanish to her audience. So, so I thought, well, now that's a tool that I can work with. So I hadn't had a chance to get Sylvia's response on that, since she is in charge of membership, that I would do that and get an opportunity to speak to the audience at Telemundo. That's what it is, Telemundo for Channel 6. So we are getting out there. We are trying to make sure that our profile is lifted and that they know that we are here to serve the public, regardless of your political persuasions. That is not what we do. We simply want to educate the voter, and we're going to try to protect democracy by getting out the vote. And that's our big, big issue. That's our big push everywhere we go. So I just wanted to say that since Sylvia is not on tonight. Brittany, she had to leave. Did Brittany by chance leave any information for somebody to, okay, Liz, that's the beauty of us getting our reports in on paper so that we can at least share it on the screen, if not read it. Liz, did you get something from Brittany?
Yes, I did.
Okay, would you
What
read
she-
it,
what-
please?
Yeah, what she sent was weekly website visits. And
Okay.
you all should have gotten it. I sent it out this afternoon. She went through week by week by week, talking about the total visits and the login visits. So she basically gave just numbers. So the last week of January, there were, oh golly, this is so small. I think 50 visits and 50 total web visits with 7 logins. The week of February 26, there were 138 web visits with a total of 3 logins. So that was it. So it's just statistics. And all
Okay,
that.
and
And I'll include it, but it's great to know that, but it looks like as we got closer to the end of February with early voting, that they were really visiting our site. So that's good.
yes.
That's good.
So statistics are important to us because, especially in terms of the website, because it gives us an insight on how well we're doing by putting ourselves out there and getting our log on or our website out there to the community. And that was one thing that we did with Domingo Live, make sure that we got our website out there so that people could log on and find out information about us. So, and we're down to, we don't have a communications person because, Tim is officially gone, but Chris has offered to, step up. And, I want to make sure that if Chris has anything that maybe Tim left her, that she might want to, kind of visit with us on that. Did you have anything?
Well,
Chris?
Tim, when Tim took office a year ago, he had asked for a notebook from media communications, and I had served 1 year in that position. I've done it previously, but I had already served 1 year. So he returned my notebook plus his flash drive with all of his communications through this past year. So that will be a valuable asset for after the annual meeting for the new media communications person. I think Nick Jimenez has accepted an invitation to join the board. And of course, it was not my place to call Nick, but I do have Tim's notebook. And it really, I think he reiterated how important it was for him to have that. And I think all of us in any position that we're keeping should keep a notebook that can be passed on to someone else. It's very valuable. So I do have
Yes.
Tim's notebook.
All right, thank you so much for that, Chris. And I agree. I want to second that comment about keeping a notebook. And the notebook can be valuable in the sense that every report that you submit to the league, if you could keep a report, if you could keep a report, a list of the reports that you have submitted, and that is valuable in passing on because it chronicles what has taken place and has gone on and what you have done. And it gives the new person a starting point. And I think that is so important. I think we are slowly but surely putting in place some kind of longevity where when one leaves, the other can receive it and pass it on. So thank you for that. We are, I wanted to, there is an action item that I need to take. I thought, and maybe I'm wrong, I got a lot of as the American Indian says, every time you put your foot in a river, it changes because the water is flowing. So there's a lot of stuff flowing through my head now that I'm thinking that I had handled. I'm down to league business on the Financial Oversight Committee. And I thought we had taken a vote on that, but I guess not. So what I'd like to do is, if you have a copy of the agenda, there are some people on there that I would like to take a vote on and make this oversight committee an official one. And the people that are on that list are Bobby Wood Hughes, Lisa Comparini, Talia Meyer, Teresa Carrillo, and Sabrina Arredondo. And I would like to have a motion to appoint these people as our Financial Oversight Committee for the what do you call it? For the, when y'all know what I'm talking about.
You're talking about when
When
the
they go-
financial year ends, they will
Yes, yes,
do a
yes,
financial oversight of
yes.
all records.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So would somebody be willing to make a motion so we can get this official and put it in the minutes that we have these people, Bobby Wood Hughes, Lisa Camparini, Talia Meyer, Teresa Carrillo, and Sabrina Arredondo as
I'm-
the committee.
I make a motion that we accept these individuals as members of the Financial Oversight Committee.
You get a second?
Julie Rogers, second.
Okay, it has been moved and it has been properly moved and second that these individuals be appointed to the Financial Oversight Committee for the year 23-24. Do I have a question? All in favor, please raise your hand and keep it up. So do we still have a quorum?
Oh, let me see.
Let's see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we have a quorum.
Okay,
Wait a
so all,
Well, hang on a second, because can I count Alex? Because, okay, we've got 1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
there's, yes,
4, 5. Okay, without Alex, we have a quorum because she's number 6. Because she came in late. I didn't know
Yeah.
how that would work, but we have a
Yes.
quorum with or without Alex.
Okay, all in favor of these 5 people being appointed to our Financial Oversight Committee, please raise your hand and keep it up so we can make sure that we get a count.
That's not-
1, 2, 3. Alex, are you voting? Okay, all right. It has been moved to second and the motion carries that, okay, you can put your hand down now. Thank you. The motion carries with a majority voting for the Financial Oversight Committee. And it is official that these people will conduct our audit for the year.
Okay,
Any
I
questions?
have a question.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry to be everybody's pain in the ass today, but we
Don't
we're
worry about it.
supposed to have a budget committee as well, and I would assume that might be different than I don't know if it's can be the same as the financial oversight. Okay, so
No,
do
no.
we have a budget committee? Because that has to be done in that bundle of information that goes out a month before. And maybe could we take care of that today, or do we need to do it like at the whatever vote we take in March? It was on like preparation for annual meeting. And so
Okay.
according to our bylaws and policy, it's in the policy. It's section 8, and it's a or excuse me, it's bylaws, Article 6, Section 3. So there needs to be a budget committee, appoint a budget committee and a chair who cannot be the treasurer to prepare a budget for the next year.
you read that again, please?
Yes. It's Article 6, Section 3. The board needs to appoint a budget committee and a chair who cannot be the treasurer to prepare a budget for the ensuing year at least 3 months prior to the annual meeting. So and I took this directly from the policy, bylaws.
Okay, so that means
And
that
so
it,
the next piece of it, once that committee gets together a proposed budget, it has to go to the board and we have to approve it. And then we send it out to the members 1 month before. And then we all vote on it at the annual meeting.
okay, so my question is, does it indicate how many people have to be on that committee? I know it should be an odd number, but does it say, does
I don't
anybody know?
see that. I don't see,
Okay.
but we have 2 presidents emeritus here. I was just trying to line everything up for the,
Yeah, it's always had 3 to 5 members. And
Yes,
it's a
okay,
chance to see what we spent this year and how we need to adjust it for next year. The budget rarely
yes,
goes out of whack. It's just a matter of
Right.
saying, we didn't have enough money here, so we should move some line items. It's a fun task, and it's a really way to acquaint a couple of new members with league budget.
Okay,
A couple
so-
of experienced
so that's
people
good
and a couple of new
education.
people.
so having said that, if we want to include others, it would probably be best that we do it on Saturday. That would give me time to maybe contact a couple of people outside of the executive committee to see if they would be willing to sit on that committee. And if I get a yes from whichever ones, then we can then on Saturday establish that committee. Now, if anybody has suggestions of individuals who might want to serve on something like that, I would really welcome your input, because the sooner I can get a list of people between now and Saturday, the more opportunity I'll have to give them a call and ask them if they would be willing to serve. So having said that, then I would think, was that you, Anel? Okay, Anel is willing. Did you say you're willing to serve?
Yep.
Okay, I just it flashed on and flashed off. So Anel is willing to serve. If anybody else is on today's meeting, please let me know, and then we can fill maybe 2 individuals out. So Liz, is that a yes, or is that a question? Okay, all right, gotcha.
It's a yes. Anel and I have done this several times together. I'll be
Yes.
happy to do it. Another one
Okay.
that's, and I'm volunteering her. Of course, you can always say no. Chris is a great source besides Anel because of just the historical information. But that's just,
I
anyway.
think Chris has a pretty full plate, don't you?
Yes, I would say so.
I
But
was,
just-
Alice,
okay.
I was gonna suggest a league member. She's been a league member 3 or 4 years. She came to annual meeting last year. Sandy Hill is a
Okay.
retired finance person for 2 school districts and is also a CPA. She's just a really bright person. She graduated in 1967 from Carroll, and we've been friends all these years, but she's a league member who would do a good job. It's really a matter of looking at the numbers and seeing, are we over budget here? What should we do? And that's how you propose a budget for the next year. It's really just a guideline, and it's a fun task. It usually took maybe a couple of hours or a couple of days apart, just looking at the budget and what we spend our money on. But Sandy Hill, K is her middle name. Sandy Hill would be a wonderful person and was at our annual meeting last year.
Okay, well, I will, I've got her name down to give her a call, and then I've got Anel and Liz. And if there's anybody else that's on this call, on this Zoom right here that would like to participate, because I would assume that it's going to be done by Zoom. So that means that you don't have to get out of your house and do a drive or anything like that. It's going to be real convenient. So if I have no other ones, if you have a change of heart between now and Saturday, you need to kind of give me a quick call but I am going to contact Sandy and maybe a couple of other people. We do need some seasoned people on there. So Anel and Liz that have gone through the process can be of a big help for that group. And if anybody else wants to, please, give me a call real quick or send me a text message or whatever, so that I'll know how many people to try to recruit between now and Saturday. Okay,
Alice,
so
if I
yes,
might just, 3 is probably a good number. If you can get us one more person, because other than that, it's hard to kind of keep things flowing if you've got too many people trying to contribute.
Yeah.
okay,
Just my
so-
opinion.
Yeah,
so no- so-
three is
so noted.
best. 4 is the max, because it's just like Anel said, there's too many voices then.
Well, we don't, committees are supposed to be odd numbers, so it'll either be 3 or 5. So there you go. All right. Okay, so at this point, if Sandy will give us a thumbs up, then we'll just, yes, go ahead, Sandra. Sandy.
Well, I got the impression that I'm not allowed to be chair, but that I probably should be involved. So I
Okay.
didn't know if that was important or not.
Yes. Well, I had assumed that you would be involved. So that will give us 1, 2, 3, 4 people. We'll get the 5 people, 3 or 5 people. Okay. Since you cannot lead that group, then you can be a member, but you cannot lead the group. Okay. Okay.
Alice, if the other individual, Sandy Hill, decides she wants to do it, you're welcome to drop me. So that way you have 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I appreciate
Sure.
that. That makes things a lot easier.
Sure, that makes
So
things easy.
otherwise, we'll have to get 5 people. Okay, we're coming down. We're actually running, just have run out of time, and I had hoped that we could get this stuff done before we run out of time. So I'm just checking off my discussion. Okay, I just want to throw out there the idea of league materials, so that we can maybe consider purchasing something or whatever, because by myself and Sylvia going on the Domingo show, in both situations, they ask us for logos, paraphernalia, banners, or something that can be flashed behind the individual as they are being interviewed. And we didn't have anything. So I wanted to kind of have a discussion, especially those of you who have done this for years in the past. Do you know of the location where we can go to purchase some league materials to use for interviews and for TV appearances and such as that while we're conducting league business? Does anybody know anything about that? Okay,
We can use people that like are in the signage business. You know, for years we had a kind of a styrofoam 12 by 24. We've had 12 by 16 that had the league logo on it, that could be placed on a podium, that could be held in someone's hand. And over the years, we've never had one location for all of our materials and our tablecloths and everything. You know, they kind of go from household to household of league members. And so some of that may exist. We just don't know where all it has wound up, since we have no permanent home for all these materials. But they're easy to have, they're easy to create, you know, and not very costly.
Well, I've been asking around, and I've asked several people, but most of the time I got the hunched up shoulders, and I don't know. So if we cannot locate any of the materials that are already in existence, maybe we do need to just consider going out to one of the signage companies and having something made. I see 2 hands up, Sandy, and then Liz. Sandy, did you have your hand up, or was it just left up?
No. Did you find the tablecloths? Because I know those would have worked. And then I don't know who made the tablecloths, because I thought, Eli, didn't you or Alex have them? They were in the stuff from Raul.
Eli said that she had one tablecloth. Is that correct, Eli?
Yes, I reported to President Hawkins once I saw the text message that currently there's one tablecloth. One of them has gone MIA. So I'm hoping that someone has that at their location. Maybe, I don't know where it might have ended up, March last year or something like that.
we've
Was
had it-
around
we've
the last
had
time
it.
that I saw the second one.
I would say we had it 6 months ago. I don't know who made those tablecloths, but if that's our logo, then whoever they are would already have that or might already have that. And I wondered if that would be a good place to try to look.
Are you talking about the artwork?
The logo and I thought they did a pretty good job
Yeah,
on them. And
the artwork. Yeah, that's the artwork.
One of the tablecloths was ordered and purchased by Sue Williams, one of our longtime league members, when she realized we really needed a second tablecloth. I'm not sure of her source, but I can certainly give her a call.
Well, if you would give her a call and just kind of let me know what she says. In the meantime, I'm also going to send an email to state and find out if there's anything anywhere they can point us to, or even if the national has that or that group that actually produces that. I mean, we don't have any paid individuals, so that, that has a lot to do with the local, but the national may have some type of group that actually produces this. And so I'm going to try to find that out. But in the meantime, if anybody does know of the clause or maybe where they might be, or if you can just kind of ask around to a few people that are part of this group to find out. And I will also go and find out what I can find out from sending a message up to San Antonio.
we do have, and Anel can help me on this. We do have a couple of standout cut out figures or something. We had them at the last Women Equality Days luncheon. You know what I'm talking about, Anel? Those women?
I have them and I let Alice know about them. So
Okay.
they're at my house whenever they're needed.
Okay. And I'd like to, if now, if I know you told me that they were probably stored in one place or the other. If you could just kind of take a picture of what you have and send it to me so that I'll know what we really need and what we can use in different situations, because right now, by us going on and where everything is, Alex is asking where everything is, so we can maybe have a centralized place that we can store some of that stuff, or at least have it on record who has what and where, so that if and when we need it, we don't have to start this email chain about does anybody have it and if you know where it is. So we just need to be able to know where it is, so that in the future when we have a need for it. So I wanted to talk about that. The last thing, and I don't want to keep you guys, I really appreciate your patience. The officer responsibilities update, and what I'd like to do, rather than have a discussion on it right now tonight, is to kind of get those bylaws and the policy and maybe send it out to everybody that is an office holder, so that you can know what your responsibilities are. And if there is a timeline that has to be met based on our annual meeting and all of the things that we have had a discussion on tonight, that we can have that timeline and everybody will know what is needed, when it is needed, so that we won't be scrambling in the future. I would really welcome that. And I'm taking a hit on that because I should have been more vigilant about that, but these things kind of crept up on me, and so I'm begging for forgiveness now. So, actually, we are kind of to the
Hey.
bottom of, yes.
Oh, President Hawkins,
Go ahead.
I just
Go ahead.
wanted to say nobody need apologize for anything. That's the only reason I put that timeline out, was because it took me 4 years to learn it. So I think we're
Yeah.
all good. I think that was good advice that you just said. The only way you learn it is like, you gotta just dig into that.
Yeah.
And that's how I really learned to appreciate that workbook.
Yeah.
It has everything at the bottom of it. And so I think we're good. Just like there, as leadership continues to grow, just remember, and if we all help each other, it won't take 4 years. You're doing
Well,
great.
I have to say that, Julie, you're the one that really kind of opened my eyes as to the magnitude, the breadth and width of this thing, and what we need to be doing, and not just kind of going and having a lunch and then, having a guest speaker. It is more than that. And so I really appreciate the work that you have put into it, because I think you have helped all of us come to understand the importance of the policies, the deadlines, and what the core of what we do are our programs. And so I think that is so important. And I want to thank everyone on here who I have made a phone call to for any advice or any help. And so every time that I've made that phone call, every single one of you have come through, and I don't want to discount that. I want you to know that I am so appreciative, because in this thing, if we're all pulling together and in the same direction, we can go uphill, even if we
Me
have
too.
to.
Thank you. I'll
Yes.
just have to throw some props out before we leave, and we all need mentors, and I
Yes.
learned myself getting into this. It was Sally Ferris who taught me so much.
Yep.
And he sits and observes.
Yeah.
He's nice and quiet over there, but you taught me, my dear. And I tell people out in the public, there's a reason here in Corpus Christi, we're a 78-year-old organization, and nationally over 100 years. The bylaws and policies can seem like a pain in the ass, but they really do keep things straight. And I've come to really, really like them, which I never knew I would. And I would have never known much about them without Sally. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Sally, because you've been very instrumental in helping me get through some confusing times, and times where I needed to have some leadership, and I appreciate that. I want to just end with this very I was looking at the history of our organization, and I think I shared it with somebody, I don't remember who, but and this organization is 78 years old, and the very first president of this organization was Dorothy Green. And Dorothy Green hired me as a 16-year-old to do her income, the income and the payments every month. I had to go to, they had a music shop. It was Saul Green's music shop right over there on Alameda. And I went in twice every month, and I did the accounts receivable and accounts payable, and I sent out all of the bills and that they had. And I was very young, and I was looking at that, and it blew my mind. She was the very first president of this chapter here in Corpus Christi. So I'm drawing a straight line through to Dorothy Green, who was the very first president of the Corpus Christi chapter. And they helped me get on my feet, because I was very young, and I did the accounts receivable and accounts payable for their organization on a monthly basis. So I just wanted to share that little bit of nostalgia with you, so to let you know that we are connected in so many ways that we don't even realize how we are connected, but we are connected. So with that, having that said, if there's any other comments or concerns, please be brief and let us get out. Okay, I see Sandra, and then I saw a hand go up with Anil. Go ahead, Sandra.
I only have one question from reviewing the bylaws while we were going through the meeting, and that is that I noticed that we're supposed to, at a meeting before the date, we're supposed to name delegates to the state convention. Do we need to do that today, or can we do that? Do we have another meeting?
Well, we can do it Saturday.
Well, it's a
that
board
are-
meeting, the board. But
Oh.
I mean, I just saw that. I don't even know what delegates do or whether anything happens, especially with delegates. I just saw that and thought, oh crud, something else we have to do.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess that also depends on who planning on attending. And I do know that Becky Moeller and Linda White have or have been trying to, okay, Alex, that's great. Have been trying to actually enroll or register, but there has been a problem with something. I don't know if they've gotten it worked out yet, but we can try to find out. And Alex said she wants to try to go. So if it comes down to that, we can do it tonight, or maybe appoint one and then get a second one by Saturday, however y'all want to do it, or I can send it out in an official email.
I don't even, how many do we get?
Who said,
Yeah,
who's that?
that's the key. Somebody said, how many do we get? I can't remember. It's tied to leadership. I mean,
Yeah.
membership, how many members we have. Last year, or 2 years ago, whenever it was, I was able to go. I loved it. I recommend that you try to go, because you get to meet so many people and just really learn more about the league. But I think what happened is we were able to just gin up however many people we needed. And so it was a kind of a volunteer appointment kind of thing. There's some kind of money that was set aside, or the state gives us money for people to go. And we
It's in
ended
the
up,
budget.
yeah, and we ended up using that. Is that the training for leadership?
I think
We
so.
Yeah, and we kind of split it up, or we used it for transportation, but there had been times where it'd been used to get just, anyway, y'all can work on it. I don't think it's a great thing, is the biggest thing. I'm so excited hearing people want to go, because it's
Me
a
too.
good thing. And your role, depending on how many, and you could go even if we if we go over our numbers. It's just that the allotment that we get is for the vote. And so they're going to hold a really beautiful vote that is wonderful, and you'll see how they conduct it. And you'll be voting on the state positions, which are really big and fun. And that's where they added the environmental racism to the climate change position last time we were there. So it was big stuff.
Okay. Okay, so go ahead, Liz. You got your hand
I
up?
think your person you need to speak with is Catherine Oler. I don't think she's here anymore. If I remember correctly, the number of delegates we get is a percentage of the number of members we have.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
when we did it
Yeah.
2 years ago, it was like 140 members. So we had like 10 or 14 delegates, because it's for the voting. But I think Catherine would be your best resource, because she organized it, and they organize it as far as how monies went out, because in the past, the monies were more for the president, and she split it up so that everybody, that 8 or 10 that went, each got a little piece. But Catherine's your source. Go to Catherine.
Okay. Okay, so if you want to be part of the delegation, please send me a text message or something and let me know. And while we kind of flesh out everything that needs to get done, we'll be getting back to you on that. Was there a deadline on that one? Who brought that up? The delegates.
I did. It's Article 10, and it says hang on, I gotta find it. It's I think it said at a meeting before the convention, and I think the convention's in April, isn't it? So we might have the April 1st meeting if we want to do it then. I'm not sure.
Yes, it is in April. It is. I think it's April 18th and 19th. I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
So
18th and 19th.
yeah, it says at a meeting before the date on which the names of delegates must be sent to the state office. Oops, so I don't know when that is.
Okay, well, I'll have to kind of dig off into that and find out, because it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of stuff that we've got to kind of flesh out. Sally, you got your hands up? And then I'll get you Liz. Sally?
Just a question. There's only one more board meeting between now and May when you will have your annual meeting. Have you determined, and I apologize if I missed it, have you set the exact date for your annual meeting in May?
No, we have not. And I kind of wanted to kind of push that out so that we could get out all of the work that we had to do inside of the 2 months. But I can tell you that it will more than likely be somewhere in the 3rd week of May. That is kind of what's in my head, because that will get us outside of all of our deadlines.
That was what I was concerned about.
Yes. I think Julie and I had a discussion on that, and so we're looking, and I know that the latter part of May, we are having graduations and all of that, but we still have to try to make sure that we put it far enough out that we will meet our 2-month deadline at the most. And so that's why I'm saying sometime in the 3rd week of May. Okay, and I thank you for asking that, Sally, because I was going to mention that and forgot it. Somebody else had their hand up before we go. Was it you, Anel?
I was
Somebody
thinking of
did.
something, but the only thing I have is that I also have that banner, the walking banner that we use when we march somewhere. It's
Okay.
huge, probably
Is
not a
it?
good idea for the background. But
Okay.
Alex, thank you for the offer. I will bring you everything I have. I have a bag full of like decorations, and I have the banner, and I have these things. It'd be great to have them someplace all together.
Okay. And thank you also, Alex. Eli, was it Alex or yeah, Alex that said that you could place that stuff at her office, and we really do appreciate that. Anything else before we leave? If you
Alex, I'm sorry to burn.
Go ahead,
Are
go-
you
go
able to
ahead.
get coffee for March 9th again, or is that
Yeah, I could
is that
get coffee.
possible? Well, Alex got it from Driftwood last time. I don't know, but does someone bring coffee?
Well, at the meeting in at Delmar, I brought coffee, and I just went out to Jason's and picked up a couple of, I guess, carrots or whatever you want to call them in
Yeah,
the
you did
box.
great.
So
Okay.
if you want, if anybody can't do it, let me know. I'll be more than happy to go out and pick up some from Jason's, and they have fairly decent coffee.
Okay, I might have messed up. Is Saturday like a membership meeting?
It's general, yeah.
Or
It's our
okay.
It's our second Saturday.
Okay, gosh, it goes by so fast. I feel like we just
I
had
know.
one.
I know. It's just.
That's why I was like,
did.
what
Yep.
is going on?
Yep, this train is moving, but see, you guys had your heads down with the guides, and so time will pass a lot faster than normal. But yes, we have our second Saturday meeting on Saturday, and it will be located at the public library, Lawrence Library. Any other concerns? So do I get the coffee?
I
Yes.
can if you
I
don't.
guess
It
so.
doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, Sandy, you and I can get together and we can get coffee.
Yeah,
And,
it's at 10:30. We got there last time at 10. It was very nice. And kudos to the city. They put out some really good signage on Staple
Yeah.
Street on how to
Yes.
get
fine,
to.
yes, finally.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Anil, I would like to have a copy of this transcript and the comments, because I wanted, there was a couple in there that I wanted to extract so that I can make some notes of it, please. If you
Okay.
could do that for me, I appreciate it. If nothing else, I want to thank everybody for being on. I want to thank everybody for all of the good conversations that we've had and all the information. And it takes a village for us to get this done. This is a big thing that we got going on. And one of the things that Tim always says about us is I said we are Juggernaut, but he says something even more eloquent than that. And so I want to take my hats off to you ladies because y'all are phenomenal, phenomenal women. Thank you so much. So if nothing else, I love that. Alex likes that heart. I love that, Alex. Thank you so much. And there we go with Sandra. So you guys, if you need me, give me a call or give me a text message. If you have some concerns or whatever you want, if there's something you need, please get in touch with me and then I will pass it on to whomever it needs to go to. With that said, I want to wish you a good evening and thank you for your time.
Good night,
Good night.
ladies. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you, Armand. You're awfully quiet.
Working pen, Anel.